He shared an apartment with 5 roommates and ate ketchup sandwiches. Now he owns the Dallas Mavericks. Welcome to Story Studio 91. Mark Cuban walked into his apartment in Dallas, Texas. The year was 1983. He was 25 years old. The apartment had 3 bedrooms. 6 guys lived there. Mark slept on the floor. He had no bed, no furniture, just a sleeping bag. He worked at a computer software store during the day. At night, he studied technology. He taught himself everything he could about computers and software. Mark was broke. Some nights, he ate mustard and ketchup sandwiches because that was all he could afford. But Mark was hungry for more than food. He was hungry for success. He was willing to sleep on floors and eat garbage if it meant learning and growing. That hunger would make him a billionaire. Mark was born in 1958 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. His family was middle class. His father was an automobile upholsterer. His mother did odd jobs. They were not poor, but they were not rich. Mark grew up understanding that if he wanted something, he had to work for it. Nobody was going to hand him anything. At age 12, Mark sold garbage bags door to door to buy a pair of expensive basketball shoes. He learned early that sales and hustle could get you what you wanted. Mark was a good student but not exceptional. He was smart and curious, especially about business. At 16, Mark took a job at a local deli. But he did not just work there. He studied how the business operated. He asked the owner questions. How much did supplies cost? What were the profit margins? How did you attract customers? Mark was always learning, always thinking about how things worked, how they could work better. Mark went to Indiana University to study business. He paid his way through college by giving disco dancing lessons, running bars, and doing whatever he could to make money. Mark was not afraid of hard work. He was not afraid of looking foolish. He just wanted to win. After graduating in 1981, Mark moved to Dallas. He had no connections there, no job lined up, but Dallas was booming. Mark saw opportunity. Mark got a job at a computer software store called Your Boss. In a software, he loved it. Computers were the future. Mark could see it. He studied every piece of software. He learned how to sell. He became the top salesperson. But Mark had a problem. He was ambitious and impatient. One morning, Mark skipped work to meet with a potential client instead of opening the store. His boss fired him on the spot. Mark was furious, but also liberated. Getting fired was the push he needed to start his own company. In 1983, Mark started a computer consulting business called MicroSolutions. He had no office. He operated out of his apartment, the one where he slept on the floor with 5 roommates. Mark worked insane hours. He called companies and offered to solve their computer problems. He taught himself programming. He stayed up all night reading technical manuals. He lived on ketchup sandwiches and pure determination. Slowly, the business grew. Companies started hiring him. He hired employees. MicroSolutions became successful. In 1990, Mark sold MicroSolutions to CompuServe for $6 million. Mark was 32 years old and a millionaire. Most people would have retired. Mark got bored within weeks. He started investing. He started looking for the next big thing. In 1995, Mark and his friend Todd Wagner started a company called AudioNet. It was one of the first companies to stream audio over the internet. People could listen to sports games and radio shows online. Nobody was doing this. Mark saw the future of media. AudioNet became Broadcast.com. Broadcast.com exploded during the dot-com boom. By 1999, the company was valued at hundreds of millions of dollars. Then Yahoo came calling. They offered to buy Broadcast.com for $5.7 billion. Mark sold. At age 41, Mark Cuban became a billionaire. The guy who slept on floors and ate ketchup sandwiches was now worth billions. But Mark did not just sit on his money. In 2000, Mark bought the Dallas Mavericks, a struggling NBA basketball team. The team was terrible. Fans did not care about them. Mark changed everything. He He invested in the team. He upgraded facilities. He connected with fans. He sat courtside at every game yelling and cheering like a super fan. Mark got fined by the NBA constantly for criticizing referees. He did not care. He was passionate. Under Mark's ownership, the Mavericks became one of the best teams in the NBA. In 2011, they won the NBA championship. Mark cried when they won. The kid from Pittsburgh who loved basketball now owned a championship team. Then Mark joined the TV show Shark Tank. He became the most famous investor on the show. Entrepreneurs pitch their businesses to Mark and other investors. Mark is tough but fair. He has invested in dozens of companies on the show. Some have made him millions. Some have failed. But Mark loves the game. He loves business. He loves competing. Today, Mark is worth over $5 billion. He owns the Mavericks. He has investments in hundreds of companies. He is one of the most recognizable billionaires in the world. But Mark never forgot sleeping on floors. He never forgot the ketchup sandwiches. He talks about it openly. He uses it to stay humble, to stay hungry. Mark once said something that defines his philosophy. It does not matter how many times you fail. You only have to be right once, and then everyone can tell you that you are an overnight success. Mark failed many times. He got fired. He started businesses that struggled, but he kept swinging, and eventually, he hit a home run. Mark also said, "Work like there is someone working 24 hours a day to take it all away from you." That is how Mark lived. He outworked everyone. When he was sleeping on floors, he was studying while his roommates partied. When he sold his first company, he did not relax. He started the next one. Mark's work ethic is legendary, and it is why he won. Your current comfort does not determine your future success. Mark slept on floors. He ate ketchup sandwiches. He had nothing, but he refused to stay there. He worked harder than everyone around him. He learned constantly. He took risks, and he built a $5 billion empire. What are you willing to sacrifice for your dream? Are you willing to sleep on floors? Are you willing to eat cheap food? Are you willing to work while others party? Mark was, and it made all the difference. Success is not about talent. It is about hunger. It is about outworking everyone else. It is about refusing to quit when things get hard. If this story inspired you, please like the video and subscribe to Story Studio 91. Share this with someone who thinks they need money to start. Share it with someone who is too comfortable to take risks. Remind them that Mark Cuban slept on floors with 5 roommates and ate ketchup sandwiches. And now he owns an NBA team and is worth $5 billion. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. Choose hunger.